My name is Marque Gilmore, otherwise known as the Inna.most. Musician, artist, drummer, conceptualist, producer, all-around noisemaker, and fun-loving criminal in certain circles. But I am guilty and blessed of, being in the arts and wanting to hopefully tell some little bits of truth with groove and sound. That's me. I would say that music chose me. I'm very lucky to say that whoever's in charge of that upstairs said, yeah, we'll try this one out. My father was a musician. He played music. Oh, I should say he wasn't a professional musician, but he actually joined the army to play music for the troops. But music was a part of his life. After the war, a very friendly officer sent him to the Royal Scottish Academy of Music. So he did training, came back to the States, went to New England Conservatory. He wasn't really able to be a professional musician, but he kept music close. Knew a lot of great musicians in the Boston area, opened a nightclub, and that's probably where both my brother and I got the bug, as well as the wonderful record collection that both he and my mother had. But the record that said to me that I wanted to play music was a Louis Armstrong record. And the song itself was Long Gone John from the Bowling Green. I'm not exactly sure what the song means because he has a whole bunch of hidden references, but it was more about the freedom to express yourself musically, artistically, creatively. And some people choose these different methods, so I think that was his main point. But the point to me was he is clearly having so much fun singing and playing. And if you know any of Louis Armstrong's music, you never heard a sour note or a hesitation in a lyric or when he's singing or laughing or never a squeak, just perfection. The clarity of knowing what he wanted to say and how to say it. Now, I wasn't that intellectual when I was 8, 9, 10 listening to that, but I felt it, and I felt that that's how I wanted to express myself in life. I didn't expect to leave New York the way I did, and I didn't necessarily expect or anticipate leaving for good. So London took me away in the early 90s. But while I was in the States, there was a little bit of a Swedish invasion in Brooklyn at a certain point. I had a band with Eagle Eye Cherry back in the day, and some people came to, not really to visit, but they came to see about going to school, and two girls walked into this party with a friend of mine, guitarist in the band, and a Swedish guy who was a photographer. And okay, they knew the next Swedish person to check in with. Next thing I know, I'm looking at my wife walking. I mean, I didn't know her. I didn't know her name, nothing. I just saw her. I said, "That's her. That's her. It's my wife. That's the mother of my kids." Boom, boom, boom. Long story. 2 kids later, I'm in Sweden. But we came here after we lived in London for many years, and came here to start the family, because if you know anything about Sweden, it's a good place to start things. So yeah, 21 years later and 2 beautiful daughters, yeah, I'm still here. The feeling behind the open call and what kind of activation to do is consistent with where I'm going as an individual. So sonic space, sonic experiment, healing in sound. The activation, the open call for an activation, that's what it was based on before I even necessarily read about the individual artists and what their artwork was about, which you invited us to do. And take a look at the artwork, read a little bit about the artist. So in doing all of that, I was able to think about some of the combinations of the syllables of people's names. This is getting into the process. The numbers of letters. I'm very into some ancient civilization studies the Sumerian timekeeping in terms of the sexagesimal system based on the number 6, which is why we have 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, 12, 24, all these kinds of things. So all of that is incorporated into the works, into the choice behind rhythms. And then to be clear about a healing experiment and using very specific tones like 432 hertz, like 888 hertz. These are alpha waves and tones that bring and some that clean and reject, negative energies and these kinds of things. And so I built some of the sounds and movements and grooves around all of that, just to be as consistent as possible with what I was feeling personally for my own healing process, and for whatever I'm going to share with the world should be in line with giving you something that you can use. Even if you walk out the door and we never see each other again, I know that you got a little bit of 432 hertz with one of my grooves bubbling, and one day it might save you from a nasty argument with the spouse. So, what I'm working on right now is both personal, in terms of what I would want to speak on, are both very personal, very relatively practical, and pretty important for at least a few people. A friend of mine, who was part of a New York collective called Burnt Sugar, the orchestra chamber, a bunch of friends and musicians based in New York. She's embedded with the Maasai tribe in Tanzania, and she reached out to the collective and she said, we need help. They started building a water well here in 2020. The Western investors just abandoned it and left it. And not to sugarcoat, people are dying left and right for unnecessary reasons because they don't have clean water. Can you help? And in that moment, the leader of Burnt Sugar at the time had just shared with the group our royalty statement, what had been earned through digital sales, and they've been putting out CDs and music for about 20 years. And he came in saying, we just got the quarter, how about we kick that money in to Julia's project called Water Changes Everything, and get this thing going. And so all of that built where, and I started calling my friends, mostly in London, but around the world, because I wanted to focus on drum and bass as a healing tool. So IPCC D&B became what was in my head, and I started calling my favorite producers and DJs to contribute a track to make this album. The album is called Junglist Breaks versus Human Mistakes. We launched the idea in July of 2023. Launched the album in October, single in October, album November of 2023, and by July 2024, the water well was up and running. So the vibe continues because it needs to be maintained, there needs to be water testing, all these different kinds of things. So it's very important to me. Julia Loli, otherwise known as DJ Mutamasik, she's still there with the tribe, and we need to build more wells, of course. So this project is ongoing. Please check it out on Bandcamp, support if you can. And another project that I'm very, very, very happy to be a part of is called Beyond Music for Social Change. Beyond Music is an NGO based in Switzerland that Tina Turner came in to support its early stages, to use music as a force for social change. And what they've been doing over the years is they created a platform in which artists can join, and you go onto a map and you can find and meet musicians from all over the world. And the idea is that you collaborate. Obviously during the pandemic, this was crucial, but you collaborate virtually, and you create music based on the theme that they chose, and you submit, and out of however many tracks, they're gonna choose 20 tracks for a compilation. So I met some beautiful people from all different parts of the world, but connected deeply with a brother and sister in Cameroon. And our song was chosen for Volume 4. So that's coming out later this spring, early summer. The album is called Beyond Music for Social Change, Volume 4. The song is called Control, and it's very much about the only thing we can really control is our own behavior, our own thinking, our own actions, but we gotta stop killing. I mean, that's how the song starts. Stop the killing. First line. S'il vous plaît. Inite is like, come on. So that's what's happening right now. And anything related to that, because we're here in Stockholm, definitely got some new things happening. Bamboo, my man Bamboo Sissoko came and joined us at the end of the activation. So we're gonna get a club thing started here, hopefully at the Node. I'm just really happy to share those two things. Anyway, the Junglist Breaks versus Human Mistakes for the Maasai, and Beyond Music for Social Change.